So, Eric, if I knew that someone was coming to rob me of wealth, I would want to know who this is. So can you give us a story? Because we're always, I'm part of the Kingdom ROI team. I do the podcast, but I also work in our marketing, and we're constantly trying to figure out how can we communicate this in a clearer way to make it make sense to people. So can you tell us a little bit of this journey to get to this concept of the great wealth heist?
Well, so I've been recognizing it was happening, right? I've been seeing, so the transition, in the next 25 years, the data is out there. I run across an article probably every single day that talks to this point. It's maybe targeted ads from Google and whatever, because that's what I look at. But I run across an article almost every single day that talks about the fact that we're in this transition. And I also can look at the data. 70% of family wealth fails after 1, 90% fails after 3 generations. What's going on? And then one of these days, it just hit me. I was like, you know who's ready for this? The government is ready for this. If they know it's going to fail, the government's ready. The financial institutions are ready. And so it's one thing to have a conversation with someone and say, hey, you know, the government has a plan to get their hands on your assets, or the financial institutions have a plan to get your hands on the assets. And then what people want to go is, well, yeah, but I have advisors who are walking alongside me and they're going to protect me from it. And I was like, but what if there's a system sitting behind? It's a system of this wealth heist that is designed that already has your advisors as unconscious participants in the story. So that's happening. And I'm trying to figure out how to kind of pull this together. And I love a good heist movie. I do. I love a good heist movie. And probably my favorite heist movie is the movie Ocean's 11. And so I'm thinking through the story of Ocean's 11. And if you don't know the movie, you need to go watch it. There's 2 versions. There was a version that was made with the Rat Pack maybe in the 60s or 70s. I think it was the 60s. And then there's a version that was made in the early 2000s, late 90s with George Clooney and Brad Pitt and a lot of Antonio Banderas and a lot of famous actors and actresses. And that's my favorite version. Is the modern version of Ocean's 11. And it's a story of a group of bad actors who are going to rob a casino. And I was watching the story, but what really became relevant inside of this story is there's one character inside of this story that ends up being manipulated in what's happening. And that's what I was missing. It was like, hey, I've got great advisors, but what if your advisors are caught up in the manipulation? And so Julia Roberts plays a character, Tess Ocean. So the main character is Danny Ocean, who's a bad actor. He's just gotten out of prison. His ex-wife is now married to the casino owner, or maybe not married to, maybe they're just dating. I don't know if I've got the story completely right there. But so they go in, and Danny Ocean gets all these people together. We're going to rob this casino on a night when there's a fight going on. So it's going to have the most money it ever has in the vault because of this fight that's going on. And we're going to rob the casino on this night. And they're all like, we're in. Here's how we're going to do it. And he gets 11 people. That's what Ocean's 11. He gets 11 people together to do it. But what they don't realize is that Tess Ocean is involved. At one point, Brad Pitt runs into Julia Roberts, Tess Ocean, and he goes to, I'm confusing names here, because Danny Ocean, which is George Clooney, is like, hey, are we really robbing this casino? Because are you trying to just get Tess back? What is going on? All of this to say, at the end, Antonio Banderas is the casino owner. They end up robbing the casino. They end up pulling it off, and it all feels great. But what you realize at the end of the story is Tess is manipulated through the process and used to pull it off. And I was like, wait a minute. This is exactly what's happening, right? And she has no clue she's being used to pull this off. You know, I was like, the Ocean's 11 crew is the government and the financial institutions. And everyone was like, this wealth transfer is going to happen, and we're going to pull the heist off. We're going to get it done. We need our own Tess Ocean to help us rob the casino being the families, right? We need our own Tess Ocean. They have it in the advisors, whether it's investment, insurance, tax, legal. The institutions and the government have set up the systems in a way that the advisors are in, and they've got no clue that they're part of it. And they're helping families focus on all these things that the government and the institutions have told them, like, this is good advice. This is things you should do. There's white papers being written. There's books. There's Nobel Prizes being given. There's all this stuff that legitimizes it. And yet what we find is still at the end of the day, no matter how good that advice is, 90% still fails after 3 generations. They haven't interrupted that at all.
Wow.
Which tells me, I was like, how could we tell this story? It's like, well, this is just a different version of Ocean's 11, right? You're just caught up in your own story. And the question is, are you going to put pause and go, wait a minute, I don't want to be a part of the system. I want to change the dynamic. And that's where, again, through the Kingdom ROI method and looking in, we came in and said, what would it look like to redeem this for 100 plus years of abundance and impact? Because if you ask a family what they want, if I give you a choice, right, would you like to know that in 3 generations, 90% of what you've built and worked your entire life for is gone? And more than likely it's gone because your relatives are fighting, or they don't trust each other, or they weren't prepared, or there's addiction, or there's divorce. Or would you like to know that there's abundance and impact going on in your family and it's out 100 plus years? Which one of those would you want?
Out 100 plus years.
Right? Right. Nobody's asking for the first.
Right.
And yet the system that's been created, that's exactly what it's designed to create.
Yeah. So there's this unconscious manipulation happening.
Yeah.
So the financial professionals and advisors are not the antagonists of the story.
No, not at all.
It's the system.
The system.
The system.
They're caught up in the system. And I'm going to tell, because I've been in the system. Like, I've been inside of the system until we really, my favorite motto is, if it's not broke, break it.
Right.
So I went in and just started breaking some things and going, wait a minute, this is not quite what they're telling us it is. This is just looking at legal structures and tax structures, and like, this is not quite what we thought. And so it's not the advisor's fault, because it's a little bit. Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
I have.
Okay, so it's a little bit like taking the pill.
Red pill, the blue pill.
Right, yeah. It's a little bit like taking, is it the red pill? I forget.
Yes,
I always
the red
forget
pill.
which pill. It's a little bit like taking the red pill and discovering and waking up and going, oh no, everything I've thought is not necessarily true. So it's not comfortable. Like, if I want to stay comfortable, I'll just stay stuck where I am. But it is not the advisor's fault.